Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is once again, awesome threesome of Girchan, Eben, and Arun Gupta. We are building a NetBeans plugin for Couchbase, and as part of this, you also learn some of the fun things about NetBeans platform and a few things about Couchbase as well. Hello, Girchan.
Hey there, Aaron. What's going on?
Nothing much. We're going to hack some code. Hey, Eben.
Good morning, Arun.
Good morning. I hear, we were just talking about it. You're enjoying your ride to the work this morning.
Yep. No, hardly much less traffic than usual, so always
Excellent.
a good thing.
Yeah. I'm working from home today. I got some engagements later today, so I decided
That's
I'll
the
work.
best way to avoid traffic.
No, actually, there is a traffic. When I get up from the bedroom and I go to my office room, not much traffic. Yeah.
People in the hallway.
Yeah. Just get my son, Dad. Where's my book? That's the only traffic, pretty much. Cool. All right. Awesome. So we gonna take it up from part 6 where we left off last time. So Gijan, is primarily you are driving the code and we are sort of your end users. So I would say maybe share your screen and then we'll run it the same way as we have been doing all along.
All right. Let me take over control. Share screen. Share entire screen. I guess you can see NetBeans right now.
We can.
I'm starting up the plugin, and I want to start by showing you what I've worked on since the last time we spoke.
Okay. It's like an inception. We're starting a NetBeans 8.1 from a NetBeans 8.1.
Okay, so here is the plugin installed. Oh, I'm logging in. The one thing we were working on last time was that we were working with indexing buckets.
Right.
So let's say I add a new bucket and I call it people. So I'll have documents about people here. Now you can see a bucket is being created.
Oh, I like the progress
And
bar. Yeah.
you can see a progress bar and it covers the entire screen. So you can't do anything while this process is happening. And
So
the process takes as
should it really be a modal window in that case?
yeah, I think so. It's this basically we're blocking the screen until the process is complete.
Because typically in NetBeans, what I've seen is if I start my server, then on the bottom right, I
know.
see the Wi-Fi server starting up as opposed to modal.
I know, but I think in this case, I'm just concerned about people breaking down the connection or something going wrong, or so.
Well, I mean, for example, I could create a bucket. I said, oh, I know it's going to take about 3 seconds to create a bucket. Let me do something else in my NetBeans, and I'll come back to when the bucket is created. So that's sort of my feedback usability experience.
Okay, okay, maybe.
That's okay.
So
we can revisit that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's revisit that. So we have here 3 buckets, and the first 2 have this green icon because they're indexed, and the last one has not been indexed yet. So I am now going to right-click on it and index it. So set primary index.
So is the term set primary index or create primary index?
Whatever you like. It's up to you.
Certainly, the syntax in Nickel is create primary index. So if you want to follow that
Sure, let's do
But
that.
no. Nickel syntax is good, but in terms of user, Eben, what would you like to see there?
I think following the nickel syntax just to get people thinking about the way they do it manually is a good approach.
Sweet. Okay. And the primary index is now there. That's cool.
Yep. So, and at this point, we can create documents within the bucket. And so now I have my first document here, and I'll create another document, and things like that.
Why there are 3 people nodes?
Yeah, it's not complete. It's a work in progress.
Aha. Okay.
So basically, I'm just showing you where things are right now.
Excellent.
And so it's you can see that the refreshing works, that the icon is updated, which wasn't the case last time.
Correct.
And we can delete buckets, and we can create buckets. One other thing I'm changing is that previously you could see per bucket the documents are in it, and that's a bit of an expensive operation. So I'm going to suggest that instead of having that there by default, that we let the user decide whether that information should be displayed. And if they select yes, we want to see that, then it is done. Because I think it's on time, and it's a pretty expensive process.
Well, one of the things, remember, we talked about, instead of, we thought we'll do a select count star. So you say even that is an expensive operation?
Yeah, exactly. Whatever we do, it's going to be expensive.
Okay, no, but I like the idea overall that, show me the default count. I think I like that idea totally.
So let me show you.
One more thing, I saw that some regular expression was showing up in the name.
Oh no, you didn't see that. That was me. I did a Control V. I was copying. Hopefully, I was hoping that I had localhost on the clipboard.
Got it.
And I didn't. I had some regular expression on the clipboard, so I just pressed Control V there. Okay, so here you see we have 3 buckets there, 3 buckets there, and 2 buckets here. And the point was that we always had this menu item for showing the number of documents displayed. So we can set this on the server level. But in addition, it's not working yet though. But in addition, here is this menu item I was telling you about.
Correct.
Include document totals in display name, so that the user can decide whether they want to set that.
I think what we may want to do is, later on, for each host, we might want to introduce a properties tab where we can say multiple properties that you can configure, just the way you can do that for Wildfly, for example.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good thing to do if we have more than about 4 or 5 options. Otherwise, I think that the nice thing about this approach is it's very easy to get there. You don't have to click into a separate properties dialog and then select something and then press OK. It's about 4 or 5 clicks versus this approach, which is just right click on. This is not really idiomatic. I mean, what you're describing is the way it would normally be. You would right click on a node and click properties, and you would get a big dialog, and then you would set things. You would click OK, and then you would exit, and then. But I think if we do manage to get the number of configurations down to about 3 or 4, then we can do it like this, because it's simply much faster to much more usable than doing it by a property sheet.
Right. No, I think that makes perfect sense. Now, Eben, there's a question for you in that case. For now, these two look pretty reasonable, and maybe we should let it grow organically. But do you see a need that where we may add a property sheet with a bunch of configuration parameters for a server?
At least right off the top of my head, I don't see a compelling reason for that yet. We might come across something going forward, but for right now, I think we're fine.
Okay, that's cool then. I think we'll stick with the right context menu right now, and if it does grow, then we can look at revisit into the pattern of idiomatic pattern.
Perfect. There's one other new feature I wanted to show you, and that is you can right-click on any node, and you can say, for example, this beer bucket. You can right-click and say explore from here, and then a new window opens and displays only that node,
That
so
is
that you can
fancy.
focus on that specific node.
Oh, really good.
And you know how much work that was?
We would
Let me
love
I
to
hope
show
know
not
you.
that.
much.
How many hours you spent on that?
Let me show you how many hours I spent on that. Here you go. Open Local Explorer action is one of the default actions from the NetBeans platform, and you can assign it to a node, as we've done, and then it's a standard behavior. What then happens is that this Open Local Explorer action takes that node, creates a new window, a new top component, and puts that node into that window. So it's a generically applicable action, and we don't have to do anything except to say that we want to make use of it.
Really good. Really good. No, I think this is lovely. This is lovely. Really good.
We can also say this here on the connection, and then we have a node that just lists, so we can exclude the services window and just work with our connection node.
And the beauty is because it's just that one line of code. You know, you can do that for
Yeah.
any of the items in the Explorer window or the
Yes.
services window.
Yes. Yeah. Any node that you have at all, you can do this too. So
Now,
we can
I right click
choose one
here and then
particular.
say explore from here?
You can do it on this one as well, but I haven't done it. But we could just add it there as well.
Yeah.
Not a
So
big deal.
oh, there you go. Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
And also, what wasn't there last time is this rename functionality. So it's obvious what it does, but it wasn't there before. And so now I can change this to demo, for example. And now you can see that the connection node display name changes, or I can change the bucket, but that doesn't change the actual bucket name in the cluster. So on the Couchbase side, it simply changes the way it is displayed inside of NetBeans.
Well, why would somebody do that?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you want it. I mean, maybe you might think, well, I don't like the way this is named with sample, or I don't know. Maybe you want to just you want to feel more comfortable with the buckets that you've got, and or you might say, well, I want to display the fact that it's that I created this today. So I'll say beers, whatever, 2303, 2316.
Okay.
And here it could be something different, whatever, for whatever reason you might have.
Yeah. A lot of nice small tricks, but very, very helpful. That'll overall improve the experience.
Definitely. So
now, one of the things that you showed, when you said explore from here, one of the things I was thinking what might be useful is I would love to right click on a document, and I might want to say, create a document like this, where basically copy this document, and then I might want to change a couple of attributes and then save it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of work we need to do still on that level, because we're really working now on the bucket level, and the next step would be to work more on the document level. And we're going to, I think the main thing we want to do here is, we can open a document and we can change a document, but we need to work on the code for pushing this back into the bucket with our change. So if I do a save right now, it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't save it back into the bucket with the change. Right. But there's also a whole bunch of different scenarios we need to think about, like, should this be a replacement for the existing document? Should this be a copy of that document? Should it be a completely new document? There's all kinds of different ways that we can handle this kind of change.
Correct. And those could be like an option given to the user if we feel that way.
Yeah, so maybe if we do a save here, so I've made a change, and when we click on save, we should maybe get a dialog that says, do you want to replace the existing one? Is this a new document? Or give a whole bunch of different options, and based on what the user says, do something with that.
Right. And that would basically take care of the point that I was making earlier. that, hey, by the way, I want to copy this document, open this document, edit it, and save it as a new
Yeah,
document. And that's as simple as, that's basically encapsulating a nickel query in the back end using a NetBeans front end.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So let's go back to the bucket level then. In that case, that is. So I think this is looking.
Yes.
Hold on. You know what? I should grab a picture of this. Where is my thing here?
Wait, let me first add I will add a new bucket. So it's unindexed, so you can see the difference. So this is a bucket for trees, and the time it takes for creating new buckets is the same amount of time that it takes in the Couchbase console.
Right. Right. Do you want to open one of those buckets? Hold on. So when you created a trees bucket, why did the other buckets kind of collapse?
I know. It's a bug. I'm still working on these things. It's not intentional. I'm still working on this.
That's
So
right.
it's not. I would say it's not ready for showtime yet, in the sense of we will not be able to make this available yet. And you can see there's still bugs and whatever. But I'm just basically going through it to show you the features and to give us the chance to comment on it before I go further with it.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that might be useful, again, I should be able to right click on a node, like say demo, for example, in this case, and say refresh, because I might have created a bucket in the back end and I might want that to be shown here.
Yep, that makes sense. You might also have made a new bucket in the Couchbase console, and you want to synchronize that with NetBeans.
So exactly. Yeah, refreshing the list.
Yeah, sure.
And that may not be the case. That may not be the case only for Node. I may want to refresh bucket, for example, as well, because some other application might be chucking, pushing data to the bucket through some API or some REST API or call.
Yep. What I just noticed that I kind of like is that we automatically get some error handling here. So I have here a key called level, and if I type in here something that is not a number, then automatically I get an error message because it's not inside of a string. So this error handling is quite nice as well. So you can see here.
Correct. Yeah, because if you put this, remember this is a flexible schema, so there is no schema here. But essentially, if it's a number, then it has to be a pure number.
Yes.
If it's a string, it has to be within the codes. So that is automatically provided by NetBeans itself.
Yes, definitely.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's where things are, basically.
Oh my God, this is stunning, actually. This is really good. Eben, what do you think? Any feedback on it so far?
Yeah.
No, I think this is great. This is providing a very good example for how somebody can just get off the ground quickly with Couchbase and start putting data in and getting it out.
Yeah.
So I actually have a question. So I mean, the first thing I'm going to do is I'll fix all these different bugs, and basically we have the scenario. We agree on the scenario with the buckets, and I'll fix that stuff. I'll start exploring the whole document thing, working with this button here, and we'll talk about the code as well and how to implement that. But the third thing I'm very curious about is, in the end, once we have all of this working and we have the queries working, would it make sense to be able to drag a bucket and drop it into my Java source file if I want to interact with Couchbase within my application? So could this be the starting point of being a code generator to give me a starting point for working with Couchbase in my application, whether it is JavaScript or Java or whatever?
That's a very interesting idea. I hadn't thought about that. So that all the credentials would come along. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of having this integrated into a development environment. The fact that we can take the next step ultimately and drag and drop from here into our code, and then generate the code, a code snippet, and put the jar onto the class path, and really bring the different worlds of basically administering the Couchbase server and developing applications with it together into one environment.
So I would actually give a very strong +1 for that, because a couple of weeks back, actually, I was showing somebody they were asking me, what does it mean to generate a REST service in Java EE? I said, here you go. I just pulled up NetBeans. I said, here is a MySQL table or JavaDB, which is pre-configured in NetBeans. Then I showed them how easy it is using generators to generate the REST endpoints and then a JavaScript front end. And like literally in a matter of 5 minutes, the whole damn thing was up. And if we can do that, it would be really awesome. It requires a little bit of work, but it would be really awesome where I can say right click on a service and say publish REST endpoints.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, because I think that is sort of the comparison that I'm looking at it, and that's sort of what the stuff. I mean, I've written lots of blogs which have been incorporated into NetBeans documentation. I've created lots of videos about that topic. So I would love to kind of say, what, hey, revisit it using NoSQL.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And so let me make note of that.
Yeah, that's another issue, really. I mean, that's definitely an enhancement request.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Evan, what I can do is, offline. Today I'm not at work, but Monday when I'm back at work, then I will show you exactly what does it mean. What does the REST generation interface look like? It's really slick.
Sounds good.
I guess that's where things are. Is there a specific thing we can work on in the time we have left, or what do you think?
Let's look at the bug issue list.
Well, I mean, one thing that I would like to we should try and fix as many of the problems in this area as we can. Maybe this, in particular, this thing where if I create documents, well, I'm getting an error right now. Oh yes, okay. So actually, one thing we can work on. Yes, this would be great. Right now, when I say create document, what I'm doing is I have hard coded a document, and you can see here I create a JSON object, and I put in there just some random content, and I create it. And what I put in there is an ID that I've generated. But maybe there are specific. Maybe we want to show a dialogue that would let the user fill in the content that they would like to see, or not. I don't know. Maybe that's an idea. Or should it just generate a random document with some random content like this? Or should there be templates, or what do you think would be the best thing to generate as a document?
Well, I think what the
Evan, you're frozen.
help people understand the syntax of it. I think a random document might be a bit much. I guess if you could find an editor for JSON documents that would be more interactive, so that the user wouldn't have to worry about the JSON syntax, that would be even better.
Now, Evan, in general, when people are adding documents to our bucket, do they really start from a scratch document? I mean, I know it's a flexible schema, but or do they have some sort of a random schema that they follow?
So there usually is a schema implicit in the application that the developer has created, and so really almost never do users create documents by hand. It's all created by the application code.
Right.
And so for showing a user how to use Couchbase, then allowing them to create a document by hand is sort of a worthwhile example, just to let them see how the document goes together. But really, it in the real world, it's almost always coming from an application.
Got it. And I think that's where I was coming at, because essentially the way I look at it is I may click on a document. Oh, I like this document. Let me edit this document, change a couple of attributes, and play around with it. and then I'm going to test it, and this looks good. And then eventually, yes, I'm going to write my application and start putting data from the application itself. So I would rather never go the route of creating a brand new document, but it's a good use case to understand how the Couchbase thing works. So
So
if
that
I
would
were
mean
to
that it,
if I were to summarize this, I think Gijan, right-click on the document, when right-click on the bucket, create document, to bring up a JSON editor. That's a good first step. But then the second step would be right-click on a document, say copy document, or then edit it, and then the save functionality.
yeah. Okay. But so I guess once we get to the point where we are dragging a bucket into a Java source file, we would also generate into that snippet the code for creating a new document via our Java application into the bucket that we have dragged into the source code.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I would drag this bucket into my Java source file, and the snippet that would be generated would include a stub, a skeleton, few statements of Java code, which would enable the developer to create a document via Couchbase into that bucket.
Right. So and one more thing that would need to happen over there is if you drag it in a Java source file, um, behind the scene, if it's a Maven project, it'll also include the Maven dependency over there, because there's a Java SDK, Java client that is required. So that is happening. And then Eben and I can provide you with the Java SDK code that would need to be generated over there. All that the user would need to do is kind of specify either the string version of a JSON document, or maybe, and thinking in terms of Java EE, you could say, here's a JAX-B bean, take it, serialize it, and dump it in there.
Yep. Cool. And would we only support Java, or would we also want to support Node or JavaScript or some other way that you work with Couchbase?
We have about 8 SDKs that we would love to support. So Node, Ruby, PHP, all of those are there. So I would say start with Java. Great. And then see how we grow from there.
Yeah. All sounds good.
So one other thing.
I was also,
if you're working during the week, in the chat window, I put in a query. So one interesting thing about Couchbase that is different from a lot of other data systems is that because of its key value store roots, every document has a key that is not necessarily in the document itself. It's separate. And so if you want to issue a query that retrieves both that underlying key and the data itself, I pasted that query into the chat. And so the idea is, if you're going to be editing if you want to allow the user to edit and replace the contents of the document, you'll need that primary key to be able to pull that out.
Right. Cool. Thank you.
So even in this case, the second field will actually give me the ID, or the key rather.
Yeah, so I can paste in a sample of an object that comes back when you run that query. Hang on. So you get an object that contains two sub-objects. One, the first is the actual document, and then the second is called ID, and that has the primary key of the document.
Lovely.
The other topic that we were talking about last time was the secondary key. So right now we only have the possibility of creating a primary key on the bucket, but we also wanted to be able to create a secondary key on an attribute.
Secondary index.
Index. And we don't have that yet. That's also something that we still need to do.
We'll file an issue for that as well.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is Eben and I will collaborate on this together so that we give you as much information as we can from the Couchbase side.
Another question I have is, I think we looked at this earlier, but do you find this useful, the fact that we can select two documents and we can say compare documents, and then we get a diff view of the
Yes,
difference? So
that
here
does
the
sound very
differences are
helpful
large.
because
Okay.
reading and especially comparing JSON documents is not easy for human beings.
Right. So here you can see. So here these two documents are kind of similar in terms of the keys. The values are a bit different, and you can see immediately where the differences are.
Yes.
Cool. Nice.
So you want to look at compare document, sorry, create document today? We have about 20 minutes to go.
Well, I'd like to
editing a document and saving it back.
Okay. The way that would work is it's an interesting topic because it means that what you want to do is we want to extend the JSON editor, and we want to extend the JSON editor in such a way that when a change is made in the editor, the save action should become enabled.
Right.
Right. So whenever I type something here, you can see that the save action is automatically enabled now.
That's nice.
We need to hook into that save action specifically for the JSON document, and
Okay.
so that when we click on that save action, then we get something specific that is relevant to what we are doing, and not something generic for all editors.
Okay.
The way that works is there is something called savable. That we can try and hook in. It's an extension of something that used to be in NetBeans. So let's see where we. Okay, so we need to put this savable into the context of a particular object. So this is going to be a little bit of looking into. So whenever I have a question about how do I hook something into an editor, I look into the layer file and I can see this whole list of different subnodes that we looked at before.
Yeah.
And let's see. That's one thing I do. I can't remember offhand how to do this. The text x Java. I don't. Here you can see on save. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, we should do it like that. It's actually a better solution. So NetBeans has something that is comparable to Eclipse in that in the options window, in the editor tab, you have a sub-tab called onSave. And in here, you can determine per MIME type what should happen when something is saved. And we can extend that.
Okay.
So it's called the onSave, I think it's task factory. And see if I can find some.
Is there any NetBeans topic that you have not blogged about?
Yeah, I know. That's what I love about blogging. That you just, whenever you learn something, you just put it in
I
your
hear you.
blog, and
Yeah.
you can find it again.
Yeah.
Unsafe
This
task.
URL is very helpful actually. bits.netbeans.org/dev/javadog. Huh?
Yes, it's a good place.
Yeah.
It's a nice starting point. Save task. There we go. And did I? MIME type registration of unsafe task factory. Okay, well here is the Java log. Well, we could just start with this information is enough actually.
Okay.
I thought I had done something with this. So actually the next thing that I normally do at this point when I don't have code that I can find quickly is on java.net I have a project with many samples, and it's called API NB. I'm just trying to find now where that is. It's on Subversion. API projects, something like this. API NB. NB java.net. Here, java.net/projects/NB API samples.
Oh,
So if I can't find a code snippet that I'm looking for, I'll go in here. And so there's a lot of different examples that I've created over time.
yeah.
And so I'm going to just look for unsafe in here and see if there's something there that might give us a starting point. Okay, there you go.
I found two really helpful links, as part of this that are really, really useful.
So here's a registration of an unsafe task factory for TextX Java. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make an unsafe task factory register for our editor.
And the MIME type would be
and
text/JSON.
Yeah, TextX JSON.
To
So you can see
XJSON.
here we have.
What's up with XJSON?
So this this is just standard MIME type. It's completely separate from NetBeans. If you look up MIME types, there's a standard way in which they are expressed. So MIME type X something, and then there's application something, and these all mean different things. So here it's completely a separate thing. Basically a MIME type standard to the extent that there is one, and you see that JSON is in this list and all these different types, and the format is always X hyphen whatever. And if it's an XML file, then it's plus XML, and if it's not a source file but something different, then it's audio or application.
So I've always used test/JSON and application/JSON. How is it different from X-JSON? I don't know.
X.
Yeah, see, here you see application JSON. That's the one that I've used most of the time.
X is always source files. These are source files. Application is something different that I never have to work with that because I only work with source files. Okay. I don't know what application is, but it's not a source file.
Okay. If I'm using a REST endpoint, for example, because that's not a source file, that's JSON coming back and forth on the wire, that's always application/JSON.
Right. That makes sense.
Got it. Okay. Okay, that makes sense too.
Okay, so here we have the starting point. So we're going to create a savable, and it's going to relate to documents. So let's put it in here. So we'll call it create a new Java class, JSON, say Couchbase, JSON, Couchbase, unsafe task. There you go.
Well, is that JSON on save task? Wouldn't it be a document on save task? Because there's nothing. Yeah, maybe.
So it's inside of a JSON file. We'll make a change.
Yeah.
And specifically because this plugin is installed, we'll get special behavior.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm gonna just close everything else. So this is interesting, and I'll close this guy.
What is this? Reformat with Eclipse before save task. What's that?
So the source code that I have found is from a plugin that is used to incorporate the Eclipse formatting styles into NetBeans.
Oh.
And part of that plugin is an on-save task, so that when you save a file, you integrate with that Eclipse functionality, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's part of a different plugins. So I'm just gonna be grateful that the code is there and copy it.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's what open source is for.
Yeah, but that plugin is actually really interesting. If you're an Eclipse user, so by the way, often you have these style formatting rules, and now you're using NetBeans, and you want to use those same formatting rules in NetBeans. The nice thing about Eclipse is there is an API for those formatting rules, and you can export your formatting rules as an XML file, and via this plugin that you install into NetBeans, you can then register your XML file in NetBeans, and then when you save and when you format, you will use your formatting rules from Eclipse instead of using the NetBeans formatting rules, which means that if you're in a group where some are using Eclipse and some are using NetBeans, you can have a standardized set of formatting rules.
Nice.
And it's thanks to Eclipse having this as an API. So it's a really nice Eclipse feature, really.
Very cool. Very cool. So if you're coming from Eclipse to NetBeans, we won't let you, feel alien in this new world.
Exactly that. Okay, so I'm going to remove this Eclipse formatter stuff because I know for sure we won't need that. And something will happen here. So here's the document. Let's comment that out for the moment. We'll need the formatter. And instead of text x Java, we have text x JSON.
Yeah.
And now we use JSON Couchbase save on task. And there you go. So now let's take a look. So here we have the document. So let's just say, let's just kind of proof of concept and just see a message. Default sentence text. So we'll display. So we will make a change in the JSON document. The save action will become highlighted or enabled. We will click on it, and then in the status bar we will see hello Eden and Aaron. Okay, so that will be proof that we are that this particular class has been integrated, and then we can from here get hold of the content and put it into the bucket.
I like saying hello. Yeah, hello is good.
So I'm just going to clean and build this. I can't do that because I'm still running the other instance. cool thing is that this annotation at the end, again, we have an annotation, which means that at compile time, the NetBeans annotation processor will find this annotation and convert this into an entry into this XML file that is part of the file system of NetBeans.
Right,
And that's
right.
where this.
Yeah. This is the same technique that we talked about a couple of episodes back as well, wherein if you grab a plugin and then you want to extend it, then you just put a class with the annotation in there, and then the appropriate XML file is generated for you, and your new menu would be very well integrated with the plugin itself.
Yes. So now we're looking at another cool feature in NetBeans. So we're referring to something that is a transitive dependency, but we need it to be a proper dependency, and NetBeans tells us that it won't be available. So we're now going to look for it and set it. So here, editor lib2. So instead of it being a transitive dependency, which it is right now, we will make it a direct dependency.
Okay. And does that mean it's going to get bundled? Oh,
yes.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. So I think this is one of the cool things about Maven, for sure.
Yeah.
Here we go. Co-host. So we must go down to a document.
Yeah. Oh, still, I don't know, building dictionary.
Yeah, that's just NetBeans dictionary.
Okay.
Okay, here's a document.
So I think that's a bug as well, where it's not refreshing the list of.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. So right now this action is disabled.
Yeah.
Because there's no change. So I'm going to make a change in the document.
Yeah.
And then the save action will be enabled. And if it's working correctly, we should see in the bottom left in the status bar the hello message.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a change. And now I click on the. So I'm going to click on it right now. Okay. Then you can see. Yes, we need to. Okay, so we won't use the status displayer. We'll use something different because there's other messages being displayed there. So let's use an option pane instead.
So I guess we are displaying the hello Eben and Aaron method, but it's getting overridden by that saved method. Yeah.
Exactly.
Is there a way to override that method?
Yes. Well, not override, but we can set the order in which this is displayed. So you can see here that there's here an importance that we could also make use of. A priority, basically.
Okay.
But ultimately, we might want to
just throw an option pane and that'll show the window to us.
Yeah, clearer than that, it can't be.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna build it, and this time I won't clean and build because we don't need to recreate the layer file. We just change one statement, so we don't need to clean everything. We can just build.
Right.
Okay.
You know what I'm thinking? Another feature that might be useful is where I should be able to click on the Couchbase node. I'll say configure the default local host, whatever, something like that, wherein we don't have to type in
Sure.
these values. I'll add a feature for that. I'll
Okay,
add
sure.
a Jira for
Cool.
that.
Okay, so made some change. Okay, there's the message. Okay, it's not displaying because of threading and whatever, but clearly we're getting an option pane. That's the
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic.
So we now have a hook into the into maybe we should display a dialog here and say what do you want to do with this change at this point?
Correct. As a matter of fact, we do want to display a J option pane because, well,
Yeah.
a dialog window, which would say, you want to save it, you want to create a new document.
Yeah.
I think we can continue with that next time.
Yeah, we'll put it into a separate thread and display that dialog.
Yeah. Fantastic. No, I think this is looking really good. Eben, any feedback on this so far?
No, looks good.
Awesome. I think so. This is a very good logical point for us. This is anyway bottom of the hour anyway.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay. If you can unshare your screen, then we can see your pretty face again.
Stop sharing.
And here we go. Excellent. Yes. Thank you very much, Gurjan. Thank you, Eben. I think this is 7th episode, coming along really good, and overall we're making good progress. I'm learning quite a few things. And Eben, Gurjan, as I was saying, once this is done, then something that I want to explore, more like a weekend project, is setting up Minecraft server. I'm gonna have Minecraft integrated in NetBeans, where you can manage your Minecraft server from NetBeans, and then all the code generation, etc., for modding. I want to enable all of that.
Yeah.
I can tell the kids, hey, you don't have to generate boilerplate. We have an arch type, but there are other fun things that you can do to simplify modding. And Microsoft is already reaching out. They want us to do a Minecraft modding workshop at Minecon this year, which is going to be in Anaheim, California.
Nice.
So if we can build that plugin up until that time, that would really, allow it to explode the popularity of NetBeans.
Perfect. Looking forward to that.
All right, great. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.
Right.
Bye.
You too. Bye.